answer a question. A question I hear a lot is the King James Version the best version? And if so, why make all these other versions? So, to answer your question, a lot of people think that the King James is the only version of the Bible that you should use. And this is probably based on the fact that they're not really understanding the history of the Bible. The King James was not the first Bible to be written. There was the Tinsdale Bible, the Geneva Bible, the Westcliff Bible, a Coverdale Bible as well, that were written before the King James Bible was written. Also, the King James Bible was not the first Bible that was approved by royalty. King Henry VIII had approved two other Bibles. The Great Bible and the Coverdale Bible were both approved by King Henry VIII long before King James. King James had this Bible commissioned because he needed it to be more politically correct for his reign. He believed that the Puritan Bible had divisive words in it. And he had a list of instructions that the interpreters and the translators would have to use in order to write. And one of those words was he did not want the word congregation to be used. Instead of the word congregation, he told them they had to use the word church instead. During his time, the Puritans were breaking away from the Church of England and were trying to establish their own independence because they disagreed with the Church of England and the Bibles that they were using. They disagreed with the way the king was ruling England. And so they decided that they were just going to break away from all of that and not even be part of England anymore, become their own country or state. And this is the reason why King James had his Bible translated. He did it for political reasons. He didn't do it because he wanted to make it more clear. Now, the King James Bible has been through a lot of changes itself since its first writing in 1611. And the writers of the King James Bible never assumed that they would be the end all of Bibles, that it would be the only Bible. As a matter of fact, they claim that further revisions would be needed as languages changed. And so that is what has happened. We've had many versions and translations of the Bible that are very, very good. Now, I don't recommend any one Bible over another. I will say that I don't particularly care to read King James Version because it makes it very difficult for me to understand what I'm reading. It doesn't flow the way that we speak these days. So I think that sometimes poetically it sounds better, but it's not the best choice, and it's really not the best translation of the original text. So I say use a better, more modern version of the Bible because they went through painstaking processes to make these Bibles. First off, I would say the New International Bible or the NIV. And then the New American Standard is pretty good too. I love the Net Bible, the New English Translation, and you can get it online. And the cool thing about the Net is when you go online, look up Net Bible, and they have the Bible online, but they also have interpretations like this is what this word means, and they also have like the Constable's commentary, so you can get an idea of what was going on in the background, what was the cultural meaning behind certain phrases and certain things that happened. A lot of times we don't understand what the Bible is trying to tell us because we don't understand the context and why something would have been a problem or why something would have been prevalent. And when we read it, we have no clue what's going on, really. Anyway, as for me, sometimes I read it and I have no clue what's going on. So I need to have somebody with some kind of historical background to help me understand. Now, a Bible that I wouldn't use, there are a couple of Bibles out there. The Message is not a good Bible. I would say also even the Jehovah Witness or the Book of Mormon is not a good Bible. And here's a good test. If it's one person who is doing the translations, it's probably not a good idea. Most Bibles use a group of people, a large group of people from different backgrounds to help with the translations, and they correct each other, and in their correcting of each other, you come out with something that is more like what it was intended to be. But people who are the sole interpreters and the sole translators, I'm a little suspicious of that because yeah, everybody needs checks and balances, and there's no checks and balances with just one particular person. So anyway, if you are in a church where they only use King James and they say it is the only official Bible, then yeah, it's not really that big of a deal. It doesn't change the gospel message that Jesus intended us to have. It doesn't change the meaning of the Old Testament prophets and historical figures bringing us to the point of Jesus's coming as a Messiah. It doesn't really make a difference. It's just that it's not as easy to understand. So you can use your own Bible while your preacher is reading from the Old Testament. You can have your own Bible there in front of you reading it in something that's going to help you to understand. I hope that answers the questions. If you have any more questions, please let me know. I am so happy to answer questions, and I'm so happy to look up and research information. Thank you.